Fed is about to stick it to you one more time. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, October the 26th. And of course, we had some numbers last week finally, and the markets were giddy about the CPI numbers as markets made all-time new highs. But we'll call bullshit on the numbers. And of course, the Fed has missed their inflation target, 9 out of the last 10 reports. But they're about to stick it up your ass once again as we come to next week's or this week's FOMC meeting, when they'll probably cut rates again, which does not benefit you and me, the American people. It's unfortunate that you have imbeciles involved. Okay, now I know they're very smart people, very highly educated, but they have no concept of a free market. They have no concept of how markets actually work. They know how to sit in their ivory tower and to discern numbers, which they don't even use their own models, which should tell you something about it. But we saw Bernanke and Yellen panning Trump's tariffs. Again, now those are two of the worst Fed directors ever, okay, that created this mass inflation, that have created this, we'll call it a K-shaped economy, which is, again, obviously been around forever, which really tells you that we have wiped out or are in the process of wiping out the middle class. I mean, if you live in certain cities, certain areas of this country, if you're making less than 150 to $200,000 a year, you're living in poverty, which again tells you that the policies are wrong. The free market system that we're not using has been done nothing but more debt created by the Federal Reserve. It's telling you that the upper 20% of the population gets great benefit from the rate cuts because, of course, we get to borrow money at lesser rates, but it does not help the average middle class. It does not help build the middle class. It continues to create more havoc, more problems, and higher inflation. And of course, the Fed has not met its targets in the last 10 reports. They're still well above. And of course, cutting rates does not help that. Cutting rates fuels inflation. But really what it's fueling is the stagflation that we are now starting to see. Because of, you can see by the commodity prices, you can see by the farmers that they're struggling. So we are definitely in a stagflationary period. And again, as you can watch the middle class get wiped out, there's a lot to discern here and a lot to discover, but we can't get through it all. But just remember that 40 years ago, the house to income ratio was 3 times. Today, the house to income ratio is 8 times. So what did that tell you? That just tells you that your money has been dissolved. Your money has been made worth less. Okay. And if you're not keeping up, and certainly if you had put the money in the bank 40 years ago, you wouldn't have as much because you'd have lost it all because of the cost of the rising costs of everything else. This is all due to the monetary policy of the Federal Reserve and the refusal to let the free market system work. Okay, pretty basic, pretty simple. Okay, White House stands firm against Obamacare. Again, another bullshit program. Okay, that was never good. Okay, nobody was ever really happy with it, but yet we continue to fight to have it when we were in much better shape when there was private insurance and the company provided insurance. It's a bad deal. It did not work. It's a bad experiment, and we're still fighting to get out of it. And of course, it was designed originally to bring back social or to bring in socialist medicine, but it didn't work out that way. Uh, After a decade of bitching about Bitcoin, JP Morgan reportedly plans to allow Bitcoin to be used as collateral. No, why wouldn't they use it as collateral? Collateral is interesting when you borrow money from a bank. I mean, every asset has a different expected value. I'm sure that when they find, if they don't, when they do, they will give you, let's say, for example, 30% value of Bitcoin for as far as loan value. They classify assets as to what risk is, and of course, then they will lend you on that value. So again, I don't see that as any problem. We continue to see job cuts. Paramount cuts 3,000 employees. General Motors cuts 200 jobs at Michigan Tech Center days after their strongest report. Okay, strongest earnings report. Ford cutting employees, Amazon cutting employees. So once again, here we are losing jobs. Okay, yet we keep hearing how good a shape the economy is in. Okay, and again, this doesn't make sense. Okay, again, it's the old story, right? A recession is when your neighbor loses his job. Your recession is, or depression is when you lose your job. Look, we are not in solid footing. We are not in great shape. Yes, if you have money, you're in fine shape. Okay, you're not in any problem whatsoever. But if you don't have money, you are having problems. If you're not among the upper 20, 25%, you are having problems. And again, I think we continue to ignore that when the whole country is built on the middle class. Okay. Uh, this ICE problem, this illegal immigration, I don't understand these states. Okay, so they're like a hitman. They're giving the ICE tracker. Okay, the Democrats are launching the ICE tracker. It doesn't make sense. I mean, why are we fighting now? Again, you'd have to ask yourself, why are they fighting so hard against deporting illegal immigration when, just let's be clear, the current immigration laws were put in place by none other than Barack Obama. Okay. So all President Trump is doing is enforcing the laws that were put in by Barack Obama, yet the Democratic Party continues to fight. And you can see where all the problems are from city to city, and they're mostly in the left, the cities of the left. Okay. Political protests have tripled since the first Trump term. It's amazing how we see more and more protest when somebody's doing a good job for Americans. You may not like Trump. I like him, but you may not like him. But certainly he has done a good job for this country. Okay. And to continue to worry about China and tariffs is a fucking joke. Okay. China is not our friend. China is our enemy. China has not, and it does not want to buy from us except when they absolutely have to. This is not a gentleman's agreement between two countries that they're going to buy our grain, for example. They buy when they need it. They will buy from anywhere but us when they can, and they always have. China is not your friend. China is the place that sent over COVID as a Christmas gift. So let's let President Trump and let's let the country take back control and not continue to have these ridiculous arguments about what's right. Because again, at the end of the day, China is not our friend. They are not somebody that wants to help America. They want to take over. They want to be America. You remember, they want to be like Mike. They want to be like the USA. Okay, they want to be the USA. They don't want to be like us. They want to be us. Okay. Uh, Now, one of the things you look at is what Americans worry about. Well, they're worried about debt. They're they're worried about not having enough to pay their next rent payment or next housing payment or car payment. They're worried about eating. They're worried about their family and kids. Okay, because again, it's becoming nightmare scenarios when we look at things. Okay, now hopefully President Trump will continue to cut the amount of government spending because of course that's a total joke and a total crock. The amount of money that is spent in government, okay? Because again, they're not spending their money; they're spending my money. They're spending your money. It's a joke. Again, we have to stop it. Okay, it's time for this to stop. Okay, obviously we've seen many great empires fall in history. And if we don't do something about this, we will be the next. And it's a scary thought. But again, we have to work it out. And you can't have guys like Mondami in New York winning as mayor. Now again, I don't know if he's going to win or not, but there's a lot of problems that need to be resolved in this country because the differential is scary. And I think you have to take care of those problems. And of course, valuations of the markets, those are also a joke, but we'll talk about those in our market report. But at the end of the day, our country, we have to stop infighting, okay, and allow the laws that are in place to go on. And everything that we're seeing done is done within the law, okay? and you have too much fighting from the left. Okay. And I think that's the problem because they're not fighting for you, they're fighting against President Trump. But one of the good things is 25 states plan to cut off food stamps in November. The question is it legal? Well, again, let me ask you this question. Why is it that we always are concerned or hear about running out of money for Social Security, but we never hear about running out of money for welfare? Think about that, okay? Because at the end of the day, many people that are using the food stamps, the food cards, are not supposed to be able to buy cigarettes, alcohol, and other things with it, are because business owners don't give a shit. They're going to take the money. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Todd Bubba Horwitz. It is Sunday, October 26th. We're going to step out for a break. We'll be right back with our market report after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. What's up, kids? Well, listen, again, we have sponsors and they're brokers partners for the most part. And, I do have other brokers, just full disclosure. But these are the two best, I think, for my members and for my people. And of course, TRADIER Brokerage, $10 a month flat, saves me over $100,000 a year. I mean, how can you beat that? Plus, all of our automation works through TRADIER. And certainly, we are big supporters. I have other brokers, as I said, but I do believe TRADIER is the best, especially at the cost and the amount of money that it'll save you. And of course, the Capital Trading Group for your futures and commodities needs. Great customer service, very fairly priced, and they do a lot of things with us. We're partners with them on a lot of deals. They're great to be with and a great organization. And of course, our new app that's being launched this week, our new partnership with the Joy of Mom, a place where we've got 3.7 million members. And moms talking to one another, working on things. And of course, we help out a lot of those with the disabled and things, but it's the Joy of Mom. Check it out. And of course, our high school program, which again is our goal and help to try to build financial literacy within our children. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and our market report. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, October the 26th. And of course, markets made new highs. They went crazy on Friday's CPI number, and it had been working their way up anyways throughout the day, throughout the week. And again, we were short, and we're still short. And again, that's not changing at the moment. I can't tell you that there's going to be, we'll be getting out anytime soon, unfortunately. I can only tell you that the valuations are crazy. When you've got stocks that are now valued at 50, 60, 100, 200, 300 times PE, it's no bueno. And of course, the Warren Buffett index, which I don't appreciate Warren Buffett. I don't particularly care for him, but he is smart, and I will give him this. He's always said that you got to make money, and the companies aren't making enough money based on what their PE ratio is, what their stock price are. And normally, it doesn't mean that it's going to go down tomorrow. It doesn't mean that it's going to collapse this week, but it does mean that there are some things to worry about. Valuations do matter at some point, and when that point is, you'll know. Okay, when that point is, you'll know. But we cannot. This is a bubble. Okay, investment deals and AI. They look like the AI stuff looks like it's the .com all over again. They're all investing in each other. Trying to keep propping it up. It almost reminds me of when we started the SPX put. We were all trading with each other, trying to create liquidity. Same deal. And unless there's more money coming in, it looks like a problem. I would say that's another red flag coming up. But in the meantime, as I said, the markets are up across the board. We're still short the dollar. We don't trade it, but if we did, we would be short the dollar. We are short the euro currency. Notes and bonds, again, are settling. And of course, we'll see more about them this week with the Fed, but interest rates have risen a little bit in the last couple of weeks, so we'll see what happens there. We have no position. Bitcoin is kind of mid-range of its recent troubles at 110. I expect that to see some rallying here. Gold, silver, and platinum. We have no position there either. They all have pulled back, and I would suspect there's probably a little bit more pullback to come. But again, I think that's healthy and normal. You just can't explode straight up and expect that to continue. Copper is trying to push higher once again. We're still flat. The grain markets are struggling and a little bit ugly. But at the end of the day, we're flat on right now. But certainly, if you're a player, I'd be looking for a spot to buy them. Cattle markets got cracked once again, and as we said, we were looking for buzz to sell. We didn't get a spot yet, and we'll have to look for a rally now. But you now have cattle dropping, about 5% in the last week, so it does look like the tops are in. Hogs are struggling a little bit, but I think somewhere around 80 for December hogs is a place to look at them. Natural gas has been chirping around, but did reach up to 360. It's been between 3 and 360. I think that we don't have a position, but certainly back at $3, I'd be look to be a buyer again. And crude oil had a little bit of a pop last week after getting drowned. We're long, but I'm soon to be getting short and getting out. So we'll see how it looks from here. But in the meantime, we did lose once again the overall volume, which again is always a concern. The volume and price participation is very concerning, and we went from a nice busy week last week to a horrible week from volume standpoint last week. So we'll see what it looks like. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, October 26th. We're going to step out of our final break and come back with our commentary. Bubba's Bottom Line. Welcome back. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. This is Sunday, October the 26th. And of course, our commentary for the week. And that is the Gen Z. What are their concerns? It should be everybody's concern because the prospects are very grim. And I think if you look at the last 20 years, housing or rent is up to 120%. Transportation is up 86%. Education is up 133%. Groceries are up 79%. Entertainment is up 100%. You get the picture. This is due to the cartel of the Federal Reserve. This is their shitty monetary policy that basically sticks it up the ass of the Americans, especially those who can't afford it. I think, again, we have some very, very tragic issues that we're dealing with. And the biggest thing is allowing the free market to work, which we don't seem to have a grasp on, which our Federal Reserve, the idiots going back to Greenspan, okay, Greenspan, the original bubble builder, Bernanke, Yellen, and now Chair Powell, they don't grasp the situation that you have to let the free markets dictate what price should be, not what you think you should be from your dot plots or your Phillips curve, which they don't even use. They don't even use their own indicators. So again, it is creating havoc for many in this K-shaped economy. Keep that in mind. And this is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, October 26th, and it is, of course, football. Not that we're in love with anything and not that we've been doing well because we've been pretty awful this year. But we do like Cincinnati. We do like Atlanta. And we do like Denver. Have a great weekend, everybody. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. We'll see you back here tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update.